Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Super Dandori Bros Podcast, episode 15. We are your hosts. I'm Leighton, and with me I have the Game Master, Ryan.
Yep, that's me, Game Master. I decide everything.
Master of all games. His opinion is factual.
100%. Oh, yeah, sure.
Let's
go with that.
We are hot off the new Mario Kart World Direct, and we have some thoughts, and we're going to share that because, I think a bit of mixed emotions there. I'll speak for myself. I was expecting a bit more out of it, and it definitely didn't quite hit the mark where I was hoping it was going to hit. And this is someone who's been like defending it, thinking it's going to be more than what we think. It's going to be more content. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Ryan?
So I'm more or less in the same boat. I thought it was going to be more. I think it would be good to at least like talk about what we did like first, at least, and then maybe get into like what we were sort of expecting. And like I would say in some ways like we did get a little bit of content in the open world that sort of aligned with a little bit of what I was expecting, but just not necessarily to the degree that I was hoping for. But we can talk about that. So how about we start with like what we did like about it? So I think for me, I like looking at a lot of the new maps. Like for me, like when I go and play through Mario Kart 8, for example, with my wife, and we just look for like maps. There are like a handful of maps that we gravitate toward typically. And like most of them are kind of lackluster. I saw, a lot of them were sort of like that here as well, where it was like, oh yeah, a lot of these like are fine. Like Peach Beach to me, for example, like I will have like zero affinity for it. Like I just like okay, I don't really care. Like it's a map to play through. But then something like Boo's Cinema, I'm like, oh, that actually looks really cool. I actually really like that one. So there are some that like definitely stood out to me. Boo's Cinema being among them. That looked really good. We got like 2 seconds of Wario Shipyard. I'm a sucker for any Wario map. I think that like specifically Wario Coliseum and Double Dash have always wanted to make a return. I was so disappointed when it wasn't part of the pass. Because that would have been crazy in Zero G for Mario Kart 8. But yeah, like I just want to see the shipyard. They like briefly teased Rainbow Road in it. I tend to like Rainbow Road a lot. But yeah, there were I liked the variety of the courses themselves. Some of which I know that I'm gonna like more than others. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely they're kind of remixing some of the courses, and I'll be honest, like one of the things I was looking for the most was, are they bringing battle mode, and how are they going to do battle mode? Because that's a mode that I really, really enjoy. And I was a little worried at first when they were showing it that like, oh no, it's going to be kind of like the Wii U Mario Kart 8 version where it's just battle mode but on racetracks. And I mean, you might still be able to do that in this game, but it looked to me like as I looked, as the direct went on, that's like, oh, they actually have dedicated tracks for like courses for battle mode. I'm like, that's good. We don't want open world battle mode. That's just dumb. I don't want to be chasing people across the map. It's 24 player battle mode is going to be absolutely wild. It's already crazy doing 12 in Mario Kart 8. I still get hit like every other second, but hopefully the maps are big enough and it can accommodate, and the item balancing is a little different, but I'm just glad that's there. And the ability to have 4 different teams is kind of cool. I don't know if that was for battle mode as well. I'm assuming it is, but they at least had it for the versus mode. So I like that they're not just making it like just 12v12. It's you can still do the 6 people team, but still with 24 players. I did. What else was there I liked? I mean, a lot of it we already kind of knew about. Like they've added new tricks and stuff. I kind of saw a few people already had discovered that while doing the demos. And I do like that they've added more content to the open world, but I will get to that in a little bit. That it's probably not as much as I was hoping, but I'm glad that at least they showcase that there's stuff to do. Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
I'll just finalize it with just I'm glad that at least it seems like most of the stuff that we do like about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is back, like all the customization and stuff. Other than the kart, actually, I'll say that's a positive. I actually think it's a positive that they got rid of kart customization. I found it really annoying, because it just took longer to get games started, especially with kids. Kids just cannot. They just go from they'll go through every single customization option in each column
Hmm.
to figure out what car they want, and they're trying to min max it, and they're trying to like make it look cool. And I'm just like, I just already know what I want. I just go in there. I'm like, I'm ready to go. I just want
In
to drive.
some ways, I kind of hope that, and I don't think they are gonna have it, but like for me, I think the happy medium would have been like each of those carts that they show, does have parts, and like in a separate section of the game, like you access it via the main menu, you can create like custom cart loadouts or something, and then you could like choose those while trying to get the game started. So then you get sort of like, a bit of both. That probably would have been like the optimal way. Who knows? Maybe it is in the game, maybe not. I don't think it
I
is.
don't think so. I think they're going
Um,
back to like older Mario Karts in that regard, and I think it actually would be more
yeah.
confusing that way for players that don't be like, how do I customize my cart? And they can see that it's possible, but they don't realize they have to go to some separate menu to do it. I think it would end up just
Yeah.
confusing people more.
Probably. But there were some parts about the cart customization I like, but I also like always tried to make the most ridiculous looking cart with Wario, while still making the stats like favorable for helping me, you know, do at least well enough to beat my wife's time. Um,
See, I took advantage of it mostly because in racing, like I guess I never really was able to figure out what cart worked. I mean, I found one I liked, but I don't know if it was the best one. But with the battle mode, sorry, my goal was always to make the smallest cart possible. So you're like, I
mhm.
don't know if it affects your hitbox or not, but it at least makes you a smaller target. And
Yeah.
so I go like Baby Mario on like the smallest bike with the smallest tires, and which was actually kind of good because it gave me super good acceleration. So anytime I got hit, I could get back up to speed. But also, I just felt like it made it really easy to maneuver and stuff. So that was the only time I really took advantage of the customization in my favor for the game.
Yeah. One thing I did want to touch on real quick, because it is intrinsically linked to battle mode, are the new items.
Hmm.
So like I hadn't seen a lot of them. Like I'd seen like clips of K-Mech in particular, but like the coin shell, I truly didn't know about before going into the direct. So like for me, it was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I like that. Um, and then the hammer, I think is probably actually going to be ridiculously overpowered. Um, but we'll see. So overall, I kind of like the variety of new items. I always like wonder like, oh, what could they possibly add,
Hmm.
for new items, and they do continue to surprise me in that way. So that actually was for me a more favorable part of the direct because I hadn't already seen a lot of it.
Yeah. No, I mean it's good for like that was the good thing about the direct is they kind of they addressed all the things that people kind of were figuring out, from hands-on playthroughs and stuff. But like this was the like, okay, no, we're officially saying this is here, this is here, these are the items, these are the character things you can do. Um, and there's definitely like a lot of characters. Like I'm not going to take away from the fact that they've made this insane open world with in a sense like I think they're looking at it from the perspective of like I think when I heard this, there are about 30 tracks, but if you include all the driving in between tracks, it's like an insane amount of track. Compared
Hmm.
to previous Mario Karts. The problem is, it's just they're not like there's only 32 dedicated race tracks, so it definitely feels like a step down in terms of racetrack content compared to like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which with the DLC, which has like 90 something tracks now.
Yeah, it's
Um,
got like literally almost all of them from every game.
and it kind of makes me wonder too, with it being this open world thing, like if they wanted to add more tracks down the road, like a DLC, which I mean, right now would be a bad thing to talk about because of the price.
Yeah.
How I'm curious how they would fit that all in because it's all part of this open world now. Whereas before, you just add tracks, right? It didn't matter, nothing was connected. So now, I'm curious if they're gonna have like the world just changes, so like certain tracks just aren't there, or do you just go to a completely different world with a whole new set of tracks, like a DLC expansion, where now you have two worlds and you can
Hmm.
just like warp between the one, fast travel between the two, or like maybe there's a bridge if you want to drive it, or a tunnel you can drive through to get to it, like kind of like going from England to France or something. But
Yeah.
like I just feel like that's got to be kind of challenging to add new content now because it's got to fit in the world. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be
Unless
interesting.
they add it in the sky or something like that.
Yeah, but I don't want just only sky courses, you know.
I agree. I agree, but you hypothetically could do that.
Or
But then in
underground.
some ways that makes yeah, and yeah, I guess it depends on exactly what they have in mind. Um, I would I imagine they'd have to just add like a new landmass essentially. But like I guess in that way that's sort of in some ways the most disappointing part of the direct for me in particular was, like Mario Kart is $80 this time around. And so my hope was that sort of like Splatoon, which gets, ongoing support and content and stuff like built in. My hope was that part of the $80 was the same sort of service where we were just going to get new courses and new stuff on a fairly regular basis, maybe with online events or something like that. And they didn't talk about that at all. So it doesn't mean it's not coming, but at the same time, I would say it's now less likely than before the direct. And so while announcing a paid expansion would have obviously been infuriating today, I think announcing free support would have been a good move. So if that's something that they were intending to do, like if that's currently in the plans, I feel like this was the time to announce that. Um, so I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts?
On one hand, I agree with you. Like, it'd been nice to kind of help, especially with how much the price is polarizing people. Um, but I think a lot of this content, like this direct, everything was made well and truly in advance before any of this, backlash came out. So
Hmm.
I don't think they had time to go and redo everything. They could come out with a statement. They could do something to kind of announce that. But I think they kind of, knowing Nintendo, they want to, again, surprise and delight. And obviously this isn't delighting the price, but the surprise factor of it is they probably want to be like, just focus on what the game comes with, like from the start. And then, surprise, we've got more content coming. Because I think with Splatoon, they never talked about there just being added. Maybe they did. I don't remember. I know the first Splatoon
I
they
honestly
trickled
have
out.
no idea.
They, but with, yes, I don't know. I mean, because then what you get is a bunch of people asking, when's the new content coming? When's the new content coming? And it's just because they know it's coming versus when you just kind of be like, surprise, there's more content, which people will be happy about. But then yet, like you said, people also be like, why didn't you tell us that in the first place?
Hmm.
But I think here's the thing we have to remember too is I think Nintendo again is thinking long term. They're not worried about hitting the $60 million sales on Mario Kart World day one, right? They know this is going to be an evergreen title for the life of the Switch 2. So they're like, hey, we'll sell a ton of copies of this game and systems at launch, right? Because it's going to be the killer app, and it'll probably sell attached to almost every console going forward. But then, a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever it is, right? Nintendo will just come up like, hey, we got more content for it, and they'll kind of keep adding more content, and people the anger will have died down a little bit by then. And I mean, if it's paid content, the anger might rise back up, but I don't know. We'll see how they do it if they tie it in with the subscription the way they did Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where I mean, I didn't pay like directly for the expansion pass, the extra tracks.
Hmm.
I pay for the expansion pass online, and I just got the tracks. Now, I mean, that's up to you how you want to do it. If you want to just pay for it, that's fine. I'm already paying for that subscription, so there's no reason for me to pay extra for the courses, because I just get them. Same with like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild upgrades, because I want to play N64 games and GBA games, and Genesis games, and now GameCube games all come included with the expansion pass. So, and I do play those, but yeah, I don't know. I think there's definitely it I don't know. I we got to start getting into like the sour side. I think we came into this direct thinking that because they teased this idea that the open world was going to have this extra content. Just be wait, there's going to be more to the open world than you know. And I was thinking, is it a story mode? Is it like massive multiplayer? You know, where you have loads of people playing together? Is it like what's going on here? And it's like, nope, you just drive around and get collectibles. I'm like, well, I don't know. It was definitely not as much as I was hoping for in the open world. Uh,
No.
that was the big thing I was looking for was just the big like wow factor because I think they were really thinking the open world was like the wow factor that everybody would be like, I've got to buy Mario Kart for the open world. And there are people I've seen online that are very stoked for it, but I think it's going to get really boring really fast if the only thing you can do is ride around and collect stuff and take pictures of yourself. It's like it's got to be. I mean, there's some missions, but it's like collect coins or do certain tricks, and it's like I don't know. It'd be nice if it was like more of almost a story thing where you're like chasing certain characters or you're having to do bat. I don't know. Like I guess I don't know what you could do with that, but it just felt very. It still feels empty. It just still feels like there's not a lot there. And then most of the direct was just talking about stuff that was in other Mario Karts. So
Yeah, pretty much.
I was like, this isn't new.
I will say that like seeing the missions and like particular challenges and stuff, depending on like what the rewards are, like that to me like made it a little bit more palatable. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is sort of like what I was hoping for in a way. What I was really hoping for, like my ideal scenario would be like you're driving around and there's like an NPC who's like, Mario, I can't do XYZ because of this thing, and the only way that this gets resolved is if you do these tricks and you like collect all these coins or like something dumb. But essentially like it is more or less a how you would implement a side quest in a Mario Kart essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like if you're gonna have an open world, you got to fill it with stuff to do. And if you're gonna give us stuff to do and it's gonna be driving related, like I don't know. I feel like it would be better presented with some goofy dialogue and some really dumb reason for doing it, but a reason nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
And you just go and do it. And, as a reward, you get, like, I don't know, a costume, which, by the way, like, I don't know, like, maybe people are excited for the costumes. I see, like, two or three, then I'm like, oh, yep, I actually do kind of like that. But I really don't care about a vast majority of them.
I'm sure we've only seen a fraction of them, but
yeah, but it's like, how many of them am I actually going to use? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I mean, it's just collecting for collecting's sake, I guess.
I do.
Which, fine,
I do
whatever.
like though that it's not like microtransaction, skins, right? Like
Oh yeah,
people
absolutely.
talk about all the time how like I wish like all this stuff used to be unlockable games. Now you have to pay for it. I'm like, okay, well at least Nintendo, I guess you are paying for it, but it's at least built into the price. It's not like a million $5 transactions. It's hey, here's $80 and you can unlock all the content. You can unlock all these costumes and carts and characters. Because I'm thinking you're going to have to unlock characters. You'll probably meet them in the open world because I noticed the rosters seem kind of thin. So I think
Yeah.
you'll probably unlocking characters. You'll be unlocking costumes and unlocking carts. I don't know if you'll unlock courses. Possibly. Like you have to do the Grand Prix or something. I don't know. I think the open world will just be open from the get-go. But you'll be
Yeah.
discovering different parts of the map. And it could be kind of like a Tears of the Kingdom situation where it's like they didn't talk about the depths like at all, and then you get the game, you're like, wait a minute, what the heck? Like this is all this
Yeah.
content here they didn't even mention. And so people that are like us that are going to pony up for it regardless are going to get in the game early and be like, wait a minute, and then hopefully if it is really amazing, the word of mouth will get out and people will be like, okay, maybe it's worth $80, but and I don't know, like let's discuss the $80 value proposition real quick because
Yeah.
like it's tough, right? It's a lot of money for a game, especially when the previous one was 60. Though to be fair, if you bought the DLC, you paid $85 for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah.
So
Which would be the case for us. Like that's
yeah,
like because I don't have the expansion and my wife loved Mario Kart 8 and I'm like, okay, like we'll get the expansion pass for her because it'll be a nice trickle of content for her to be able to play and she always looked forward to it. Whenever a new one would come out, she'd be like, okay, we gotta play it.
yeah,
which is rare for her. Like it's actually quite rare to see her excited about something video game related. Like she likes video games, but like my wife is not the kind of person who gets excited about video games, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, and we were kind of the same way in our family. Where like the moment the new pack came out, we all got on, we played it, and it was a lot of fun. Some of the packs were like, eh, and some of the packs were like, this is awesome, especially when they added brand
Yeah,
new
and like I
tracks.
said, earlier, like I wanted the Wario
Hmm.
Coliseum, and unfortunately didn't quite get that.
Yeah, I mean, and who's to say that that stuff won't come to Mario Kart World? I do think that they're gonna have to come up with some way to add new courses. I was so set on the idea that they were gonna have a course builder function, and I don't. Maybe they'll still do that somewhere down the road, but it'll just be like some little side thing that's not tied into the open world. But like, I thought that would have been like the best way to prove the value of Mario Kart World is to make it like, hey, you can build your own courses in this. Like that would, I think that would justify $80.
Yeah, it would justify it. I was skeptical that it was going to happen. And that would be cool, but I don't know, like the courses just don't seem to be modular in the same way that like Mario Maker is, for example.
Yeah,
Like and I just feel like if you want to make something approachable for kids and for casual players to like, play around with if they wanted to, like in some ways you do sort of have to make it modular. Like Smash Brothers Brawls, stage creator was quite limited. But it was modular in that way. And so I don't know, maybe there is a way to do that with Mario Kart. But that's not very intuitive for me. Like I don't think about it and be like, oh yeah, I could totally see how you could do that. But I don't know, I could be wrong. Like maybe it is in the game. Maybe that is like the depths, equivalent.
no, I don't know. I
Um,
think they would talk about it if it was a main feature. But I think in like when I think of the depths kind of comparison, I'm thinking there's just like secret tracks that they don't even talk about, or there's like again like different missions that you're just like, wait, that's way more in depth than I thought, or I don't know, just like there'll probably be levels of content and characters and cards and just different stuff in there that'll be way more interesting than what we realize. Um, from so I was thinking about the price though, because I was thinking again like it really depends on who you are as far as whether $80 is too much or not. I'm gonna
mhm.
probably be the crazy one to say that I think $80 is a fair value for what I will probably get out of this game with my family. I think if
Mm.
you're a parent and you have kids that love Mario Kart, especially my kids are I won't age them, but they're younger and they'll probably enjoy Mario Kart for the lifetime of the Switch too. I probably will get my money's worth out of this game by a long shot. I think the amount of hours that will get played, but if you're someone that's like just a kind of a casual Mario Kart person that you pull it out every once in a while, or if it's just not, it's kind of like it's a game that you like, or if it was a pack in, or just, again, that's where it's going to be tricky to sell you on it. Whereas before it was kind of easy, like, yeah, you just throw in Mario Kart, right? It's just that's why wouldn't you? But now it's like an actual decision that you have to make of do you really want Mario Kart? Is it really that important to you? Um, and that's going to be tough. We might see like some other games top the sales charts over Mario Kart depending upon how well this is received.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be on the other side of the camp now, where I would say I'm actually significantly less likely to get Mario Kart following this direct than I was before. Before I was like, yeah, like I probably am gonna get it. Like my wife and I are gonna have a lot of fun with it, and the free roam's definitely gonna have more content than we anticipate. And now after watching, I'm like, if this is what's in it, I don't know that I want to justify. Like there are other things that I might want to spend $80 on. Um, you know, or even just a fraction of it, like part of the money I would have used for Mario Kart, I could be like, well, I could do this instead now. Um, so I am significantly less likely, I think, to get Mario Kart. Now, will I get it eventually? Maybe. Um, I expect like situations to change, and so then the calculation, like in my personal life, to maybe favor a little bit more excessive spending in the next few years, and so maybe that's when we do it. Sort of like we adopted Mario Kart 8 later.
Yeah. And that's the
So I
thing.
don't know.
I think that's kind of Nintendo's strategy is that they're not worried about like so many games rely on the hype of the launch to get their sales numbers and then they just fade into obscurity. and then you don't hear about those games anymore, and it's like, you know what I mean, like the marketing stops. Whereas Mario Kart was marketed the entire lifespan of the Switch one. Like there's always a bundle. In a lot of the YouTube trailers and stuff, they'd show Mario Kart because it was a Mario game. It's like it was constantly there, like, hey, this game's here and you can buy it with your Switch. And I think that's going to be the same. I don't think Nintendo's worried about the launch. I mean, they definitely want, a really big launch so they can sell more systems. But I think the system itself, most people that I've watched and heard from said the system itself is great, and that the value proposition there actually kind of makes sense, especially with the PS5 price hikes now. $450 actually is a pretty good deal for what you're getting in a portable system that can also do 4K docked. Is kind of wild. So I think that's actually a great value proposition. But again, the only thing that makes a good value proposition is if there's good games. I think Mario Kart is a good game. It will be a good game. Like, regardless of price, it's going to be a good game. It's just a matter of, can you afford it, or is it really worth that money right now when you could get it later? Again, I'm in a different boat, so I will definitely be getting it at launch because it's kind of the killer app, and my kids are going to love it, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with it, and I think it'll be fun. But I also that's the only game I'll probably get with it, because I'm going to be too busy playing Tears of the Kingdom again in remastered mode, and then the following month I'm going to be playing DK. So I kind of look at it as like, I got plenty to do on that system, in the first couple months of its existence. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, I'll be buying the expansion for that since I already own the game, so it's like probably a $20 upgrade for me. So I mean, there's for the first 3 months, it'll be good, and then hopefully Metroid Prime 4 comes out sometime soon, and I'll probably get that. I might be getting Pokemon ZA depending upon how it looks. I know my kids really want it, so I'll probably be getting that.
Oh, okay.
My kids really like Arceus, so I think that they'll probably want to play ZA. And depending upon the reviews, I want to see what people say, if it matches Arceus or if it's better or worse. We'll see. I might get the new Hyrule Warriors. I did play Age of Calamity, but I still haven't beat it. I don't know. That might be one of those games I won't get at launch, but I'll get later. Kirby Air Riders is another one where I'm like, we'll see. Like, I never played the original, so I'm not as nostalgia hyped for it, but it could be fun. And my kids love Kirby, so a lot of my game purchasing for the system ends up falling around like, what will my kids enjoy playing as well. So
you could bet that if there was a Pikmin game selling, your kids are going to demand it.
100%. Well, I demand it.
Oh, yep. Well, yeah, you would too.
But they wouldn't touch the game for a while.
There is no Pikmin 5.
Right?
There's no Pikmin 5.
I wouldn't even show them a trailer. I'd just pretend it doesn't exist until it's suddenly on my system.
Yeah, you're just sitting in the corner of your room, just playing the game for 10 hours straight. It's like, where's Dad?
Right. So yeah, I'm definitely going to get plenty of value in the beginning. And I've another thing too is it's not like I'm made of money right now, but I've been budgeting for this launch since early 2023. I've been putting money away, or I have points on my card that I've been putting towards this. So it's because I genuinely thought that the Switch Pro or 2 was going to get announced I think either the end of 2023 or I thought 2024 was the year, right? I think a lot of us thought 2024 was going to be the year that the next system was announced. And we saw the leaks in the end of 2024, but the system wasn't officially revealed until the beginning of 2025. So I've had money and points and all this stuff saved up. So because I've had extra time, because Nintendo took longer than anticipated, I'm kind of ready to just go ham on this launch because I've been waiting so long and I've been patient and diligent. So I'll get the games. I'm going to get the controllers. Oh, and also, there's GameCube games at launch, so I'm going to be playing those as well. I don't know if I'll be able to get a hold of a GameCube controller, though. I do have my adapter, though, with an actual wired GameCube controller, so I can still technically play that way, but I do want to buy those wireless ones as well, because I think those will be really good long-term, having the wireless ones for the Switch 2. There might even be Switch 2 games I'm just going to play with the GameCube controller.
And part of me almost wishes that they had released alongside the wireless GameCube controller for this, essentially just a wireless GameCube controller but with the Wavebird form factor, just for nostalgia's sake.
Yeah, that would have been nice, especially if it had a bigger battery pack, just for the sake of making it longer lasting. But
and a dial that does nothing on top.
Yeah.
Wasn't it a dial? I can't
It was
remember
a channel
exactly what the
dial, I
dial
think.
was on it. Yeah, and so then you could hypothetically control, um, like have multiple people controlling the same character, if I remember correctly,
Yes,
or something like
something
that.
like that. Yeah, because you could just have them all. It would. I don't know how it worked, but yeah, you could. The signals would overlap, but yeah. So
Yeah,
there's a lot to play. So technically, you don't have to get Mario Kart, but I'm again probably gonna get it just because it's the launch game and it's a game that I know will be played for the lifetime of this system. So I will get the
yeah,
money's worth out of it. But I do genuinely understand the frustrations of the price and the resistance to purchase. In your case too, like
mm,
um, there's a lot of games, and you have access to other systems too. See, I'm like all I have is my Nintendo Switch, or my Nintendo systems. I have a Wii U, Switch, and I'll have a Switch too. I
yeah.
do have a PC, but that's a single player thing that I occasionally play, and it's like 5 or 6 years old now, so it doesn't run things like it used to, and I don't want to spend all the money for that. But you know, you have a PS5 and other systems, so like there's other games still coming out for that you can enjoy. That
Yeah,
probably
Expedition 33 coming out pretty
there you
soon.
go. Um, yeah, so I mean, disappointing, but I think I'm still on the positive end of like I'm still gonna get it. But yeah, that direct definitely did not impress. It
Yeah,
definitely.
no.
I was surprised at how much of it was made up of stuff we already knew, and how little of it was stuff that was new.
You were surprised but not delighted.
Yeah, yeah. There's only a couple delights here and there, but it was really, yeah. They kind of made it sound like it was going to be a lot more. I'm curious to see what the reaction is going to be from other people. I'm sure we're not alone, and
I guarantee this did not help them. I mean, you looked at the like dislike ratio before we started recording, and it was still generally quite favorable, which honestly surprised me. I would have figured that the people who were going to watch the recording, within hours of being put up, were people who, have been sort of tuned in, and I would expect, again, it could just be a vocal, no, I wouldn't say vocal minority. It's still a substantial number of people, but maybe a majority of people are just keeping quiet on it. I haven't posted anything online, and up until now I've sort of like looked at it from more of like a realistic standpoint of like prices of everything are going up, and so we should sort of expect games to do so, and the price was locked at 60 for quite a long time, and so you actually would expect games to be more expensive now than they were in the past. And actually you would expect, like, in a world where it wasn't controlled, like, games actually would be more expensive than $80 now, actually. um
mhm.
but I don't know, it's
I think it's just how quickly
it's
it jumped. The fact that they kind
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
they didn't skip 70, and they did have a $70 game, and the Switch 2 does have some $70 games.
Hmm.
But yeah, it just for most people it just felt like a very very quick jump. The PS5 and all those systems already had $70 games. So, but yeah, going straight to 80 is especially, I don't know. I think that it's a weird thing when I've been listening to people and like what their perception of what a Nintendo game is worth. I mean, people seem to look at like games like Elden Ring and be like, yeah, those games are worth more because they're gritty and realistic and story driven. But Mario Kart's just a kart racer. But I guarantee you there was probably the same amount of development effort went into both. It maybe even more for Mario Kart. Which maybe that's sacrilegious to say, but I think that Nintendo does put a lot of polish, and like you think about it from like an animation standpoint, like the amount of personality and animation, and like every single character in that game has custom animations and custom. And okay, I know I'm thinking, in my head I can see the comments already. People are like, well, so does Elden Ring, so does all these other games, but I genuinely think there's definitely a level of polish and content that's in those games, that in the Mario games, like especially Mario Kart, that just because it's cartoony doesn't mean that it wasn't a lot of work to make.
Hmm.
So yeah, people have this weird perception of value, like only the games that are like super epic story-driven games with voice acting and motion capture and realistic graphics are worth more money. But if you're getting the same amount of hours or more hours of entertainment, or again, it's just a polished, well-working game that can handle 24 players simultaneously while chaotic and everything going on in an open world environment. Like, yeah, that is impressive. on a handheld.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
I know it can go dock, but let's just not forget that this is a handheld game.
yeah, which is impressive, and I have to assume that they've been working on this more or less since they launched Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and even perhaps even before then. So it just surprises me that this is sort of all they have to show for it after 8+ years.
I don't think it has been worked on that long. Everyone just assumes that the people that work on Mario Kart just only work on Mario Kart. I think those teams do work on other games, and so I believe, well, like for example, the people that made Splatoon also made Animal Crossing New Horizons. Like, it's the same team that developed that. So, like, they do go from game to game, and then they, after that game, they made Splatoon 3. So some games they can get out a little faster, and they have some of the assets already, and they can do some of that stuff. But, like, I don't think they've been working on Mario Kart World for 8 years. I think they've probably been working on it for the last 4 or 5 years with one of their teams. And I'm sure, like, maybe certain concept ideas have been worked on maybe for longer, but, like, the actual development I don't think has been. I'd be curious to see some, like, behind the scenes with the developers. I'd really love to know, like, when they started working on this. I know the Switch 2 was started. They started to work on that in 2019, so they couldn't have been working on the actual game for Mario Kart anything before that. But maybe the conceptual idea. But again, they had to know the hardware to even know if they could execute on that idea. So, because I don't think this idea would have worked on the Switch unless they made the graphics look like Wii.
It wouldn't have worked on the Switch. I'm kind of hoping at some point, because I'm not aware of a video that he's done on it, but, like, Nintendo Forecast is the only guy I know that takes notes during credits, whereas everyone else tries to skip it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of hoping at some point he ends up doing a video on the Mario Kart developers and just sort of how long we can guess that they were working on it, because I think that would actually be quite interesting.
Yeah. Well, we won't know until, June, unfortunately, but yeah, definitely stuff to look forward to and see because I think it'll be an interesting way to see what the development time for future Nintendo games is going to be. I think that we're going to see a shift. And part of the reason I think Nintendo had to shift their development, like they switched from the two systems, the home console and the handheld, was because they knew that development cycles were going to get really, really difficult. And so there'd be way too many software droughts if they didn't streamline all their gaming teams into one. And so that's what's happening right now, is they needed all hands on deck to keep the Switch and the Switch 2 alive. And I think the Switch 2 may have, I don't want to say software droughts, but we may be surprised by how, like, they're just not going to be as many first-party games. Like, we'll see more remakes or upgrades to kind of fill the gaps, because I think these games are going to be a lot harder to make to justify, like, their existence, whether it be new gameplay ideas or graphics or whatever it is. Just like the new Zelda game we may not get for another, 3 or 4 years. Metroid Prime 4, super excited, but we may not get another Metroid for, again, a long time. I don't know what they'll fill the gap in other than Animal Crossing, Splatoon, some other franchises, hopefully, like Star Fox or F-Zero would be cool. But yeah, it's going to be, we'll see. Well, I think I don't know if you have anything more to say about Mario Kart. I think we've kind of set our piece on it.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything else to say about it. I don't know, maybe I warm up to it, maybe I don't, but I guess I'll just be, keeping my eyes peeled for any, especially around the time of launch, like if there's anything new about it.
It'd be nice if there was some game share function, because then I could just buy it and you could still play it with me every once in a while. But I didn't see anything mentioned of game share too, which was kind of a little bit like that would have helped soften the blow for the $80 as well. But yeah, we'll see. They were really pushing the game chat too.
It still doesn't look great, but
yeah, it's pretty rough. It actually, honestly, I almost feel like it looked worse in this direct than the previous one. So at least they're being honest about how it looks. They're not hiding it. They're not making it look like it's flawless, but it is definitely not making me feel like, yeah, I really want to. And maybe that's why they're doing it free for the first year, is they're going to try and, like, stress test it and iron out the kinks and optimize it so that when it's an actual paid thing, it's way better. Maybe they themselves realize it's not perfect, and so they're like, yeah, we can't really charge for this, at least for another year. Give us a year to, like, fix all this. So we'll see. Well, that's going to be it for me. I don't think we need to drag this on too much longer.
No, I don't think we do.
If you are disappointed in that direct, or if you're excited by Mario Kart World still, please leave a comment. We'd love to hear your feedback, which camp you're in. And yeah, thanks for listening. This has been the Super Dandori Bros. I'm Leighton. He's Ryan. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
See ya.